Special edition of Nerdbeards. Firefly.
Hey there, people out there. Welcome to this very special Browncoat edition of
Nerdbeards.
We've never done that with a four-piece before. It's kind
That's
of like a band, man.
Yeah, it's like a band.
Yeah.
We're all in
Yeah.
a band.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, today on Firefly Nerdbeards, we've got something very exciting for you. We have people who've never seen Firefly before. So they're going to give us their insights, having watched just the first episode.
That's the hour and a half long episode, Serenity Parts 1 and 2, as seen on Netflix.
As seen on Netflix. Now, you guys got something really neat that those who actually watched it initially on the networks didn't get. You got to see the first episode first rather than last, like all the people who saw it on the network saw it.
I heard that.
Well, why would he do that?
There's
Fox.
a long story. Yeah, that's the answer most Browncoats will give you is, what's the reason? Fox.
Got it.
Okay, so, having seen just the first episode, do you have any characters you're already starting to get connected with?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, who?
The doctor.
The Doctor.
I agree, the Doctor. I was really, really enjoying that character.
He came off creepy to me when I saw him just in the first episode.
He did come off creepy.
I thought he was a spy. Like, he was like one of those little spy guys from the Alliance, and I'm like,
They were really trying to, in that episode, I believe they were really trying to get you to feel for that particular character more than any of the others. The way they tied him in, the joke the captain played on him.
Oh,
You
yeah.
remember
That was
that particular
funny.
scene? And how
She's
he
dead.
came running. And that's just to show that that even though there's all these weird tendencies with the Doctor, he has a lot of empathy for his patients.
Okay.
You know, and you really kind of got that when you watch this particular episode.
Okay, all right. So, the initial run of the show, they cut that commercial break when they blow the box open. And he just goes, huh. So how would you have felt if you had to sit for a couple of minutes not knowing what's in the box?
well, I thought it might be like weapons or something.
Drugs. I really thought it was drugs.
Okay.
I thought it was weapons.
Never really preparing myself to know this girl. It's obvious now that I've seen it. Oh, of course it that's the only thing it could have been was the girl. But initially, you've never really been immersed in it. I thought it was drugs or something. He was nefarious with drugs. It might have been for a good purpose. Maybe it was drugs for like a medical colony, which they've hinted at in some of that episodes too. That they were taking stuff to medical colonies and stuff. But
And the one thing that confused me is the girl in the crate. I wonder how she could just stay like that for like another week.
She was in
science.
She was in a cryo sleep,
Yeah, cryo sleep. Okay.
which is sci-fi for no idea how it really works.
But apparently it involves you being bent in half.
Yeah,
And
involved
naked.
being bent in half and naked. Okay, so what did you think of the fact that they had that? So what do you think she was thinking when the actress got your first scene? We need you crammed up in a box, naked.
How long did it have to be?
I bet she was just laying in there going, I have a job. I have a job. I have a job. It's okay. I have a
For a
job.
second, we thought, when we saw it, we thought, like, when we first saw the glance of it, me and my dad were like, is that like a 14-year-old girl in there? Because she was really small, all cramped up. And so we're like, is that a child? And then she comes out and she's
really
just like,
felt like a child initially.
and
Really
then she
did.
came out really tall, and we're like, oh, okay.
Summer
She's not a
Glau
child.
was pretty young when that season was filmed. I think she might have been 2021.
Yeah.
And she's a tiny girl.
Yeah. She was a small girl, but you could tell that she developed into a woman.
A lot of assumptions when we watch shows that are on television, they tend to make the mechanical character or the mechanic character a man, like only a man can operate an engine or something. So now in this one, they've done it with Kaylee, Jewel State's character. So, is this a good thing in your opinion? Is it a bad thing? Is it a women's lib issue?
I don't see her yet as far as as a very strong character.
Okay.
I think they really downplayed her as the damsel in distress to a very extreme. Now, they tried their best to show that she knew what she was talking about, especially toward the end part of the episode, where they were escaping from what I would like to call bandits, but they're not really clear yet of what those things
They're
are.
like the things that basically rape you and eat you alive.
I know.
Reavers.
They're reavers, yes.
Yes.
Those come up more as well.
Well, like when I first said, I'm thinking, oh, so these are like lizard people or something, because that's what I kept thinking when they said that.
Reavers, yeah.
Reavers are a series-long mystery not really developed.
Yeah, they don't
At
really
this
develop.
point in the
Right in the
lizard
first
people.
episode, they're not developed.
Yeah.
They're a mystery. They are things that live on the edge of space.
I wanted to mention a few of the other characters, especially in the thing. I think the priest, as they call it, the shepherd, is very, to me, unnecessary and throwaway character. If he wouldn't have been in it, you would not have noticed.
Okay.
He might be more integral later, but right at this moment, he's just kind of there to be there, and that's it. The relationships between the captain and his crew are very interesting because I don't know where any of their loyalties lie. They left that so out in the open, it was kind of unsettling.
Okay.
Because the captain's like, I'm smart. I know you might have turned on me, but you didn't turn on me. Why not? Well, the money wasn't good enough. Okay.
What happens when that happens? Well, that'll be an interesting
No,
day.
probably what happened with it is when they first started it, they did like 3 different scenes for it. Like they did the battle, and then what was the second part?
Then they're floating in space, stealing the stuff from the floating ship.
And then just one more time, and then you've got them in a different spaceship, and then like different people, and it was really confusing because I was like, okay, are they in the battle right now? And then these people are doing this, and these people are doing this.
Yeah, I think I know where you're getting at. The transition from the battle, which is supposed to be some intense battle, which, by the way, I think was downplayed because you didn't care about any of the characters yet, and they were trying to make it really super intense. And I'm like, but I don't know anybody yet. I don't know who to charge. I don't know who to feel for. All I see, the only thing that I'm focused on is, for some reason, they had to pick random actor X to play a soldier who was frozen on the battlefield, wouldn't do anything, and dies like 2 seconds later, mystically. I love his mystical death after the rain down from those aliens at the end, and the captain's just standing there liking to fight, and the and that little private standing next to him going, and just dies right behind him, very comically too. If you really watch how he just kind of flies back, it's very comical. And I'm like, this is supposed to be a super intense scene.
But one thing I did have a problem with, I had no idea who was fighting, because I kept seeing like these Browncoat guys, and I kept saying red.
It's humans versus humans at this point.
Is it?
It's North
I
versus
never
the
got
South.
that.
Yeah.
It felt like
Okay.
like they were fighting aliens, especially in the beginning.
Yeah, because you saw the spaceship, and then you saw like the like these weird like red suit guys, and then you saw, I guess, the Browncoats over there. I'm like, who's fighting who? Okay. What's going on here?
What's really going on there is that is the Battle of Serenity Valley, the big end battle, so to say, for the
Civil War
Unification War. It's a very modeled on the Civil War of our time. Joss Whedon, the show creator, read a book about the Civil War that I'm not remembering the title of off the top of my head.
We'll put it in the back.
And wanted to incorporate some ideas he'd read there, because these people in the South lost the war, but weren't necessarily fighting for keeping slavery more than they were fighting for their homelands.
Okay.
So it's supposed to. So when they transition to the space scene where it's all quiet and they're stealing stuff, the huge carrier full of Purple Bellies or Alliance or whatever. That's
Yeah.
the North that have won the war and are now taken over that area of the galaxy. So they're scavenging off of whatever they can get, and then sort of like the Marshals are coming through. They're like, we got to go before the law catches them.
Okay.
So they're supposed to be bad guys. So
the Alliance bad guys.
So when they go to the planet, which is called Persephone, that's why they're talking to...
Are they trying to make these characters Southerners, then? Is that what you're trying to
like
do?
West
Sort of
Southern
implication.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the idea of this being a Western, this is like the former Confederate soldiers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really, in the case of Captain Malcolm Reynolds and Zoe.
Gotcha.
'Cause
Yeah.
they're battle
'cause
buddies.
they're
They're
very
battle buddies.
things-
They fought together.
Often when you have stories of like soldiers, it's always, I won the war and this has helped me get the money or the power or the structure so that I can move on forward. Well, how do soldiers who lost a war move forward? And that's kind of what they were trying to portray.
I was watching a trailer.
But if we didn't show that,
Yeah.
that's important to know that, you know.
I was watching a trailer for Firefly.
Okay.
Okay. And it used the guy with the hat, right? The rogue that they were trying to sell all that gold
Badger.
to. Badger. Okay.
He'll come up as well.
That's fine. What was interesting is he had this very, like, was talking to him like, oh, well, I just see you as that sergeant who was in the battle, and
Balls and bullets
you're
brigade.
a captain by name only
Yeah.
to me. You know, that was very interesting. I didn't find his speech very interesting. It was trying to pull the story forward a little bit, but I didn't really think it was necessary. But then I watched the trailer and I went, oh, it's trailer fodder, because they used that explanation in the trailer to try to pull you through the story in the trailer. So he used his little speech to pull you from one point to the other. So it was trailer fodder, and like, nice.
It's exposition.
Yeah.
Now I have a good question. Okay, so when they were like in the little standoff, so
Standoff.
like it wasn't even the standoff. It was mostly like the sheriff just punched the doctor because he thought it was part of the Lions.
Okay.
Then the shepherd comes. He's like, "You got the wrong guy." Then the Lions guy has his gun right there, and so people walk through, and he shoots the girl. What's her name again?
Kaylee.
Yeah, shoots the girl, and like they're after that they show
What's
performing
the
surgery.
question?
My question is, it's like it looked like it was like a Star Wars gun, and he was like pew, and then like, it hit him, and it was a bullet. And we're like,
Where's that line? And I think your question is it is so not clear where that line between old school weapons and new weapons is. It's like it's very forced. They force the Western part of it on it so much that you're like, oh, but it's sci-fi and I got a cool laser weapon. But oh wait,
There's
it's
no
a
lasers.
Western. Yeah, I know.
but that's what confuses because they have
The
like
gun
bullets,
looks
and then
like-
they have lasers, and like what?
They had lasers in the scene, the battle scene. There were lasers. You could see them.
That was the higher tech of the Alliance versus the poor.
Ah,
Ruffians.
okay.
You get an M16. You get a whatever you can buy at the local Walmart.
Yes.
I feel a little robbed, man.
Well, we're the Alliance. We can have the nice weapons.
Yeah.
Ah, see, and that makes it a little bit. That's an interesting point.
Okay, so first episode.
Shatner.
That's okay. So first episode, you did not find the exposition, or at least the point where they're trying to move along, the fact that they're losing job after job. You didn't find that scene very helpful.
No, I didn't, and I'm learning
It's okay.
that the Fox executives didn't like it either. So
Yeah.
they just started with the other. Kind of feeling that.
That's fine. Okay, see that? See,
I'm kind of feeling that because it wasn't. It all just felt forced. It just was forced. None of it felt like the exposition part of it. It all felt like we've got to move through the story and introduce the characters, and it was very A, B, C, D, E. You know, very A, B, C to it. So there's that, and it felt very forced. And I'm sure it's a theme, but I can just hear Josh Whedon like, okay, that Western theme. Every chance you can put that Western theme in these transitions, do it.
Okay.
I need to make sure people understand that this is a cowboy Western sci-fi theme. So,
Must
Play
be
that
in there.
music. Play it.
Space Buster,
Play it.
Space Buster, Space Buster.
Okay, so you must have Buzz and Woody in that scene.
Well, no, the music interludes, the transition from one to the other, that whole Western interlude just rang every single time. And since there was a ton, and you can tell when you're watching it, there's a ton of transitions to the why can't I think of the word? When they're trying to sell stuff to the advertising, when they're trying to go from one to the next.
Trailer?
Commercial break.
Commercial breaks. Thank you. That's the word
fine.
I'm looking for. When they're trying to transition to
The
commercial
breaks.
breaks,
It's okay.
you hear that Western theme.
Yes.
As if they're really just driving it as hard as
Did
they
we mention it's a
possibly
Western?
can. I know.
Yes.
Okay.
So
What do you think of the opening theme song for the show?
I liked it. I liked the opening scene. It felt very epic to me.
The song
When I
or the
liked it.
scene?
The song?
Scene. I
Song
didn't.
I
We're asking about the title sequence.
I didn't really like the song. It was very weird.
I liked it. It was definitely different.
Is the title sequence in the first
Yeah, I
episode?
think
Yeah, it
so.
is.
Yeah,
Take
it
my
was.
love, take my land.
I was not crazy about the title sequence.
Really?
It's
Yeah.
grown
didn't
on
like
me
it.
over the years.
Didn't like it.
Well, I just didn't
I
like-
know all the Browncoats are going to shoot me. I just don't like the title sequence. The song, I don't think works.
Nah.
So what do you think about Zoe and Wash?
Okay, so Zoe and Wash, the first mate in the
first mate
pilot.
in the pilot.
I will admit I laughed when she's like, "Hey, Captain, can you take the helm so he can tear all my clothes off?" Okay.
Okay, so the actual job they got. It's the first job that we actually see them get a job with patients on the planet Whitefall. We see them plan. Okay, here's where we want to meet. Here's where we want to set up the guns. Did that scene seem forced? Did it work?
Yeah, it was very. It was still part of the whole ABC. They had to get through trying to introduce the characters.
Okay.
So I think it's almost like they had a checklist and saying, "Okay, we introduce the characters. We got to mention this, this, and this, and this because it's integral in the story later. So we got to make sure we mention it all." So they're
Okay,
just
so that
putting
part
it all
seemed
in there.
forced as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
Like when they first got their first shipment, they're picking it up and everything, and they hide in this little spot. For a second, I kept thinking it was like silver or gold, and then later it says, "Oh, it's food." I'm like,
yeah.
It's like-
I actually thought that was a good twist, to be honest. Where you thought they were smuggling gold. They never really mention it. We're just smuggling it. Smuggling it. We found it. We're
rations.
smuggling it. We're smuggling it.
rations, yeah.
So we're like, oh, it's gold. It's got to be gold. It's gold. And then the old lady goes, oh, that's good. And we're like, they're smuggling food rations?
Smuggling food to the outer rims.
Yeah. No, it's rations. It's obviously rations. And I was like, okay, I guess that's really an integral part of the story that a lot of people are starving and food is worth. And that's why they're like, why would this old lady say, oh, I'm not afraid,
Those are
Whatever.
quality MREs.
Yeah,
that kind
yeah,
of-
basically she's like, oh, no, my people could use these, so I'll go ahead and take them kind of thing.
I'm not scared of that
The,
seal on it.
Yeah, I know. That scene was
weird.
unnecessarily violent, by the way.
Yes, it is.
That was like, oh, okay, all right, so they're going to double-cross me, okay. And then they just shot everybody.
Well, they
And I'm
mentioned
like-
that the double cross is probably going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She didn't even try to hide shooting me. It would have been nice if she'd hidden the plan.
Just be like,
And they're like, oh, we got it now,
Okay, so Simon and River have managed to sneak onto the ship. The cop, I think it's a cop, Lawrence, has found out that the bounty hunter has followed them onto the ship. Did that scene really work well? Did Lawrence seem like a believable bounty hunter, I guess? Or did that seem like it was coming out of left field?
well, like I actually believed it because when you first saw him, he's wearing all these glasses. He's wearing a nice suit, and he's just like,
The bounty hunter?
The bounty hunter, we're talking about the marshal.
The
We're
marshal.
talking about
Oh,
the
the
marshal.
marshal.
We're talking about the
He
marshal.
said he was the marshal.
Dang
He
it, I was
very
going to
clear
get me
about
an
that.
ear.
Yeah. Oh, no, you're talking about...
Jane?
You're talking about the bounty hunter, the other part of the crew?
No, he's not a bounty hunter. That's just the guy who's, I think, like ordnance. I think
But
Jane.
yeah, he's supposed to be ordnance,
Okay,
but he's the hired crew. And he makes that very clear in
Yes.
this episode.
Okay.
I'm here for the money, and if we're not getting any money, I'm out of here kind of
Okay.
attitude.
But Lawrence gets on the ship,
Yeah.
tracks down Simon Tam,
Mm-hmm.
decides, I'm just going to arrest everybody, including the captain, which is going to change the it changes the landscape. You know,
Yeah.
oh, you mean him? Yeah, you can go ahead and have him, and then nope, I'm going to arrest you
Is
too,
there a
Captain.
reward?
You're
Is there a reward?
conspire. And I'm like, there's 5 against 1.
Yeah,
here.
it's 5 against 1, which is how Kaylee gets shot.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you're just like, oh,
Okay.
what's going on?
So,
Pew!
did Lawrence's character make sense?
His
as a
character,
bounty
to me, until he shot somebody and they found out that he was secret, I'll be perfectly honest, I forgot he was even there.
was
he
that the
was-
purpose?
It might have been the
Seems like a
purpose,
regular
but they
villager.
made sure that he kind of had a couple things to say. Wasn't things kind of hid in the background kind of thing.
Until he got in the way.
And that's probably until he got in the way and then you went, oh, I guess he's important. But before, if they would have just left it at that, never did it and left, I wouldn't have remembered he was even in
Well,
that.
okay.
The most horrible thing I thought was kind of weird is that they left him in a in a bathroom. They're supposed to torture him, and then just like, oh, okay, and then just leave him in a bathroom,
You know, as
all by
sex-
himself. You know,
As sexually charged as this is,
Okay.
right? Because it is a very sexually charged show, by the way.
Okay.
As violent as a lot of those scenes were,
Mhm.
that torture scene, which never happened,
Never
was
happened.
a complete letdown. I thought he was going to go for it.
Well, even Jane- well,
You'll
even-
get your torture scenes later.
Okay, yeah, you'll get tortured. But yeah, even Jane's like, dang it, you don't know anything. I was going to give me an ear, man, and you don't know anything.
Have you
And it was
ever heard
funny.
of Shansu?
We're not up to that. That's a couple episodes in.
Oh.
It's a couple-
Adam Baldwin really did a good job as
Yeah.
Jane Cobb, I think. Adam Baldwin was Animal Mother in Full Metal Jacket.
Full Metal
Later
Jacket.
on, after
He did
Firefly, he went on to be John Casey on Chuck. He's done a lot of really good.
He was in Independence Day.
Yeah,
He plays a lot of grunts.
I
he
thought-
plays a lot of
well,
grunts, but he's got that grunt cop face look.
well, no, the shepherd and then the one girl. I guess she's like a hooker. I like the one part. It was just like like a weird stare silence
And
part.
Nara the companion.
Yeah.
And Nara Sarah.
That character... Why?
I know.
Why have that character? I mean, I don't know. You could have just said
Space Western.
she's love interest X, and it would have been just the same.
Space Western. What do you need in the saloon?
I guess.
You need Miss Kitty.
Man. Western. Did I mention it was a Western?
Did we mention it was a Western?
Well, no. One more thing I thought was confusing is like when you first see her, and then she like, oh, we have to go back to the ship, and then she like brings her little ship up, and then she just enters this giant, massive ship, and then I thought that was their ship, and then realized it wasn't. It was just
Yeah.
like,
She is renting that shuttle from the larger boat that is owned by Captain Mal.
Yeah.
He's technically she is buying rental space on an escape pod.
That's her home.
That's her home.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
The Serenity crew gets a deal out of it because they're having a certified, legitimate
They say
companion.
that in the episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I want to make sure I'm clear on this, especially when I get in on it.
Mhm.
The show's called Firefly because
Yes.
they're on a Firefly class ship.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? The actual ship is named Serenity.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay.
You have not missed a thing. You are on
The
target.
episode that you watched was called Serenity, as is the film.
As is the film, which is the last piece of it. Mm-hmm. It's a 2.5 hour long.
Yeah, I heard they did their best to try to
Wrap
tie
it
it
up.
all up in a little bit, the best they could.
Some
Yeah.
people like the way it was tied, and some don't. There you go.
Some people want to untie that knot.
Some people want to untie that knot and keep on going. Okay, so Lawrence dies. Captain walks in, shoots him, drops him dead.
Lawrence
Everyone-
doesn't die.
That was very anticlimactic,
Lawrence
wasn't it?
I
doesn't
don't
die.
think Lawrence died, did he?
No,
What happens to Lawrence?
they basically chuck him out the side of the...
Then
Oh
maybe
yeah.
he did
Wait, they
die.
shot him, and then they grab him and just go throw him out the
and
spaceship.
threw him out of the side.
Told you.
Maybe he did
He
die.
dead, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's
Oh,
dead.
Because he's like, if anyone moves, I'll shoot you all in the head. Malk walks in and goes, bang! Okay, get off my boat.
Yeah, because
And they
just like.
they threw it in.
'Cause he has-
Unceremoniously shuts them out before they fly
So he has, like, the
I would
girl,
love to
he's
be that
just
stunt man. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick you up by the arms and legs and just throw you out the door.
Well,
While it's moving upwards. Oh, dude, it's going to be a ramp.
well, no. One thing I thought when they threw him out, I thought they were going to use him as bait for the
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might have been interesting.
And then like we're like, oh, so
But they were flying. It would have been hard.
well, they could have just landed, came out for a second, took a little nibble, and then just came back and started chasing him again.
Not
Have
really.
you ever played a game with zombies?
Okay,
They
those are
don't
space
just
zombies.
nibble.
Yeah, dude, those are space zombies.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like leaving a cheeseburger on the counter unattended in the house. They're like, da. Cheeseburger?
Cheeseburger? Yeah, okay. Let's see, we
Or
covered
french
Malcolm,
fries.
we covered Wash, we covered Zoe, we covered Kaylee, We've covered. So, what did you think of Wash playing with the dinosaurs right at the beginning?
I was like, oh, there's a dinosaur reference.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I
what I
get
was
it.
like. Yeah,
That's all I
It's
thought.
way more
I thought it was you going, there's a dinosaur reference.
Well, they were
Okay.
just waiting for. I was
Does that
just,
make sense for the costume?
yeah. Well, I was wondering with the
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirt, but maybe that's just till later.
Is that later?
He
Yeah.
wears some Hawaiian shirts later on.
One of the
Okay.
questions that Mandy had thought of was, one of the things that Mandy had mentioned earlier when we were planning the episode, is Mandy said, of all of the songs from the Earth that was, to make it onto Serenity in this new world, that was not the Beatles song she thought would be there. Cry Baby.
Cry baby, cry baby, cry. Make your mother sigh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a weird song.
That, by the way, that crybaby scene, I was laughing my butt off. I
was.
thought that was really funny. It was a funny reference. It was a great way to get them off the scent. I thought it was, I was like, because I was like wondering to fly away, and they're like, oh, it looks like there's some people, distress signal over here, and I'm like, cry baby, I get it now, awesome.
Okay. So, assuming you've only seen the first episode, where do you see it going? Or what kind of plots do you think are going to pop up?
Well, I thought
Here, so you can remember their names. I know you've only
the
seen
River,
Okay.
River, I could see her character a mile away. That's my only thing is that you're like, oh, she's the savant. She's the person who is going to probably turn to have some mystical powers of some sort. She's probably going to save the universe on some level. It's just a mile away.
Okay.
The one character I am 100% sure, not sure where they're going to take it, and I'm very interested to see, is the Doctor.
You will see that Doctor. Okay.
I want to see where they take that character. How does he put it? How does he
He's like a
deal with her?
Okay.
Because I can tell she's going to be it, but how is he going to be tied into all of that?
Okay.
Are they going to take his character along with her? Is she going to surpass him? Are they still always going to be on the same level? Because I've seen it done multiple different ways when it comes to the caretaker and the savant, so to speak, on how they're dealt with.
Well, one thing I thought was kind of weird is that a little bit later into the episode they say, "Oh yeah, she's 3 times smarter than me. It makes me look like a retard." I'm like, "Oh, really?"
Yeah, I forgot about that line. Yes, absolutely.
Makes me look like an idiot child.
Makes me look like an idiot child. I don't see that yet. Still early. She's still very like. Now, one thing they did with her character that I thought was interesting, that because felt forced, but they were like, every time she sees a weapon, she's going to cower in a corner.
Oh yeah, or like I'm not lost, like I'm not here.
Especially when it came to the gun, she was like, "Oh," freaking out and like wanting to go. And I'm sure they're gonna pull that out later of why she's doing that.
Okay.
Because she probably did get tortured or whatever. But
Okay, so not really that worried about Mal. Wash could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
Zoe,
Zoe, what is the first mate?
Yeah.
The
Okay.
first mate.
She seems to be the kind of the rock of the whole crew.
Okay.
Without her, I think the captain would probably go a little too far. Because he seems like that kind of character, and she kind of pulls it back every once in a while.
The relationship between Zoe Wash and the captain is very familiar.
Mm-hmm.
You've got this married couple and a business partner / co-worker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm Wash.
All
right.
There's a military connection there in the past. The former sergeant is now a captain.
All right. So Kaylee. Okay. So Kaylee, damsel in distress. You said that's where you see that.
Yeah, she's just a damsel in distress.
Sitting on the ship.
Now, when she feels better, she might get herself out of the shell. But by shooting her and having her being waited on by hands and knees because she couldn't do anything, I don't think helped her character. I think it just made her look weak.
Okay.
And, it might have benefited for her character is if they didn't do that to begin with. They made her character really strong, and then halfway through all the episodes, they shot her.
So she's
feel
got
bad
some kind of
for her. We got some backstory, and everybody's... But doing it right off, I think took her character down a notch as far as how you felt about her and stuff like that. And I know they're like, oh, but look at all the knowledge she has in the ship. And I'm like, well...
She's sweet, innocent, little happy,
yeah,
technology know-it-all Kaylee.
Yes. And that's really what it felt like. And I don't think it made her a strong character.
There's not a member of the crew that's...
At least by first episode.
Yes.
Okay. So, Jane, the ordnance guy, brawn and guns seem to be...
He seemed to be... He's comic relief to me.
Comic relief, okay.
He really feels like he's supposed to be the comic relief. He's also supposed to be... Feels like his character is supposed to be the character who you're not sure what side he's playing on, kind of character. He's supposed to be the guy who's, questioning his, what side he's playing. So, I think that's a little too obvious, to be honest. I wish they would have played that more into it, not been the first episode where you're like, oh, okay, he's the guy on those sides.
He does do some interesting math, though.
Math.
At one point he goes, man, we ain't made nothing on this trip. Hold on, let me check. 0 times 0, carry the 0, plus
nothing
0.
Divided by nothing.
Nothing divided by nothing.
We made nothing.
Because we didn't make anything on the job.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shepard, you said, sit in the background and won't even notice him?
No, I think if you deleted him from the entire episode, you would not have missed him. Every scene could have played out the exact same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
somebody else could have had the
gone,
lines. Okay.
And somebody could have had that line. Most of his lines could have been cut. And you could have just literally went from next line to next line, and you would not have missed it. Yeah. And I don't think his character was strong enough in this first
particular episode. Okay, that's fine.
That made him integral part of this.
Okay.
Now, I have one question. The strawberry.
The strawberry. What's the question?
Okay, you live...
Why? She's like...
You live on a spaceship.
Okay, you live on a spaceship.
Mm-hmm.
What you're mostly used to eating is...
Food out of a tube.
Gold bars.
Okay.
Remember, they were excited to eat... Okay, you've been in the Army, right?
Yeah.
Do you remember the old granola that you sort of gnawed on?
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. Oh,
yes.
yeah. Memory
now,
flashing back right
now.
now.
Now,
Taste
entire gold bricks of this is what you'll be eating for a month.
Oh.
Now, the good news is it does come in squeezy shapes and colors.
Ooh,
Yay.
yummy.
Most of the food
Yay.
that people eat on the ship are not fresh. It's that prepackaged
It is processed protein
bars.
Ugh.
That's just what they can afford. It's what they get. You can't really grow food inside a ship easily.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, and they don't... I mean...
Now, the first thing that they steal, where do they steal? Because, like, you see them...
What do you mean, where do they steal it?
Like, when they steal, like, the food bars and stuff like that, I'm, like, looking at it.
When we went from battle to space,
Yeah.
They're stealing it.
they're stealing it out of the spaceship. They're like, it still has, there's still atmosphere.
Now, what
the door blows, they pull the bars out, the Alliance shows up, they're like, we need to go now, we
Yeah.
need to go now.
Oh, so they're stealing
That's
it
what
from
they
the
put in the hold.
Oh, so that's what they're stealing from the
And
cargo
what you're
ship.
supposed to understand after the meeting with Badger, the fence that they meet with a really cunning hat and...
Cunning hat. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, the really fancy hat. He's like, I can't touch it because it's got Alliance prints all over it.
I mean, the
And
Alliance
then
caught
he
y'all
was-
stealing it.
And they bring
Yeah.
He
the
had
newspaper.
actually... It's supposed to be implied that he had sent them on the job to steal it.
Yes.
So
If
they
you-
were going to be getting a cut.
I got that. Yeah. I did
If
get
you'd
that.
walked in about an hour earlier, I'd have bought it because now I've got a big wanted poster when he throws it on his desk looking for a Firefly class ship.
Yeah.
I can't touch it now.
That-
Because currently the law's looking for you here. You need to get out.
Yeah.
I'm not touching that.
Well, no, it's kind of funny, though. It's like they have, like, you don't even see any other Firefly ships, and they're having trouble finding this one. Because you don't, like, it's supposed to be like
It's a
really
very
old
common
ship.
model.
You're supposed to understand in the world of Firefly that the Firefly class ship is like the old hoopty bug. Everybody's got one,
Is it
But
common?
But they don't
It's
use
very
it.
common. It's
but you
supposed to be
don't
very
see
common.
them that often
You
in the
don't-
show.
yeah,
You just
don't
see
see
the
them.
one, but you're supposed to understand that they're common, I believe.
It's so that you can tell which one is the ship we're using.
Yeah.
But it's basically, I need you to find a 1984 Honda Civic. Are you kidding? Those are everywhere.
There's something to be said about the major ship in sci-fi stuff. A lot of times, I mean, sometimes you'll get the Enterprise, which is top of the line.
Top of the line.
But with Serenity,
Millennium.
the Millennium Falcon, even the TARDIS,
Even the
they're
TARDIS.
hunks of junk.
They're hunks of junk.
Hey,
And
the
I know
TARDIS is awesome, so the TARDIS is
But-
not a hunk of junk.
The TARDIS was stolen from a junkyard, wasn't it?
Museum.
A museum. It was put in a museum because it was no longer considered space-worthy.
But I thought that he stole it from another spaceship. Oh, that must have been a museum.
He stole it from...
He stole it
well,
from a museum.
We're not going to go into a...
But we're talking... Okay, but let's stay on... Okay.
Let's not get into a Doctor Who rant.
Okay.
Got it.
So, and we were talking about the character of Inara.
Yes.
The companion. Good, bad, weak, strong. Where do you see it going?
The companion. The only thing I'm interested in is, and it's not even that interesting, is I want to know eventually what her relationship is, because it is vague as crap right now. I have no idea who her love.
Yeah.
They're kind of hinting that she's going to have she has a love interest with the captain, but it's obviously he doesn't have a high opinion of what she does.
Okay.
He made that very clear in the first
Sort of
10 minutes of the episode. And then they made these weird kind of suggestions that something might eventually happen between her and the shepherd.
Yeah. Because, they didn't get along.
Okay, I think I can kind of see that. Okay.
But then, after they look at each other and go, I don't like you, and I don't like you either, and then they now don't even talk anymore after that.
And that whole episode was it felt so fake and so forced, where he's like, oh, I'm so sad, why am I here? The shepherd. He's like, why am I here? I think I got on the wrong ship. Maybe you got on the right ship.
The shepherd becomes a
I'm
little
just
more
going,
interesting.
okay.
Now, I have a quick
They
question.
all get more interesting
Who's
as
the-
time progresses, but
Yes.
at this point, it's the
What-
story
what's-
of introducing them
What
all.
station made this show? Was it Fox?
Fox.
It was Fox originally.
I have one question
Right now
about that.
it's going
Why,
to be redone
when they
in
were-
science shit.
Okay, when they were recording and everything, when they were doing most of it, all you kept getting was this when you were watching it.
The shaky cam?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, that's actually where you get a lot of shaky cam. Okay, you've seen Paranormal Activity where they do the...
Yeah, but see, that's kind of black.
But Godzilla, it was about the time Godzilla was coming out. There's a number of those shaky cams, like Blair Witch Project. I think Cloverfield. We're all familiar with those.
Cloverfield
Watching
was
all
the
the
worst.
shaky cams.
It was very common. It's very common in horror.
It's very common
Sci-fi
horror.
not as
Yeah,
much.
horror.
What he was trying to imply, although I don't know how well he did it, depending on each person you
Was he
ask,
trying to do a documentary thing about the war?
it was supposed to be a lot of those weird shaky cam footages were implied to be.
Old footage of her war?
If you don't finish my sentences, go ahead. Go ahead, read my mind. Read the mind.
Read
It's
his
a short
mind,
book.
Abraham.
It's a short book. Anyway, it's supposed to be
It wants bacon.
security cam. It would be like watching security cam footage or somebody else being in the area trying to film it from their ship. So a lot of it was supposed to be kind of the Firefly version of YouTube video, where I'm filming it, but it's kind of that was his intent. You'll also notice that when he does a lot of his shots in space, he doesn't have any sound there because sound doesn't travel in space. He's trying to make it sort of
In Star Wars, it's
realistic.
like pew, pew, pew.
Sound doesn't travel in space is what he was trying to do.
He's trying to show that other sci-fi shows have stuff wrong.
But we're putting a space.
But
Did we mention it was a Western?
Yeah, I think we mentioned that. Yeah.
Okay.
There are some episodes that are far more Western than space.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then there are some that are far more space than Western.
Yeah, I got that was going to
One
happen.
thing
yeah.
I really did hate is when you
You
get
hate?
well, I just didn't really like is more people started showing in when they gave them the gold food and stuff like that, and then you just see this orange tractor appear out of nowhere. You don't see them when they're walking through. You just see a random orange tractor. Poof.
Oh, the tractor. You had a problem with that? That's so random.
Because they just when you see them coming.
Oh,
through,
yeah, because they had all the horses, and they did the horse turns. Western, 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 Western.
Yeah.
I see what he's saying. And if they're going Western, 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 and then a guy in a dune buggy shows up in an orange dune buggy on the side going, ha.
Yeah, I'm just really.
And that was it.
I'd forgotten about
And
that.
I don't even remember seeing that dune buggy when they
the
started
ship
shooting or
or-
anything.
Okay.
I only saw it once, and
Okay.
it's when he got shot, and he's just just driving forward, off and away.
Are they talking about the mule?
Yeah, there was a
I think you're talking
mule
about the mule.
Okay.
in that scene where the shootout.
Okay.
There was a mule. I know,
It
right?
does
It's
come
so
right out of-
unmemorable.
yeah.
Yeah, it was
Just
not
because
memorable.
all you see is all these guys, and then you if you just curve the camera just a little bit, you just see it right there, just appear out of nowhere.
So, you said most of that episode seemed like it was a forced attempt. No, I want to make sure I've clarified it. To get Simon and River's story in there, and the rest of it was just and then there's a bunch of other characters as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So you said Badger, his scene with the nice hat was not impressive. That scene was kind of weak because he comes up later in the series.
Oh, I'm
so
sure
I'm trying to
he
get an
does.
idea as to his
Mark
character.
Sheppard, great actor.
Great actor.
Oh, very great actor. I just thought that I'm like, why is he telling him all this? Why is this thing? Why didn't you just tell him, hey, you're here.
Get the fuck
They're
out.
trying to get you. You're screwed.
Get
I'm
out.
not paying for this. Get the hell out.
Mm-hmm.
But no, he's like, backstory. I'm like going, why is he saying all this? This is so unnatural. And then suddenly I go, and then I watch the
Exposition.
thing and I go,
I have
exposition.
a message from our camera,
thing.
Browncoat.
Well, and if you look at how Mark Sheppard plays Crowley,
Mm-hmm.
Crowley's very
In Supernatural.
verbose. And so when that with Badger, it's a pageantry.
Badger
It's
does like to
him
show off.
Yeah, he's
It felt very showboaty.
he's twisting the knife. You wasted gas, you wasted time, you brought this. I'm not gonna buy it, and I'm gonna poop on your rug.
Don't poop on my rug.
Well, one that I thought was
People
kind
on
of
your
just
rock.
like either strange or just
We're
kind of
working that
weird.
into the next episode of something. I haven't figured out what, but we're going to work that in.
Okay, so one thing I thought was a little strange is like the captain, like that whole
You know,
entire.
if you'll quit putting your hand in front of your face, we'll be able to see it on camera.
Stop cutting him off.
Okay, one thing that the captain kept doing is just he kept the whole entire episode he was just a total bastard to everyone, and like anytime he just tried to keep it calm, he couldn't because they were just like, no, my ship, my goddamn
Oh
rules.
yeah, he felt very. I actually see what you're saying there too. The captain felt like he had to exert his authority so hard. Oh, I'm so in charge. No, I'm in charge. I'm in charge.
We all know who's
Wait,
really in charge on the Firefly.
Are you in charge on a Western or in space?
Zoe.
Is he's probably in
The
charge.
captain. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the ship.
Doesn't the captain fly the ship if he was doing that? Wouldn't the
Yeah.
captain
Not
just fly the ship?
Not
necessarily.
necessarily.
There's a lot that goes on a ship. Sometimes you just need one guy to stand there and make sure it's going in the right direction. Okay, so let's talk about the ship itself then. That work?
Yeah.
The original ship was built on 2 sound stages, so that you had one that was like the upper half, one that was on the lower half.
Mm-hmm.
Did it seem as if they had made it one complete ship?
Oh,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
so.
Yeah.
I think the engine room though,
Was
you
weird.
couldn't really feel like where it was
No.
Okay.
on the ship. I mean, I'm guessing it just like I could tell when they were transitioning from one room to the other.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell where all the rooms were located on the ship. But then the back room where the engine room was, I have no idea where that is. That could have been in the front of the ship or the back of the ship. I have zero clue, and I don't think they made that really clear when they were trying to figure that out.
It might come up later, but not in the
Yeah.
first. Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
I'm sure somebody has a map of a Firefly.
I know, right?
I'm
I'm
sure
sure
we
I'll
could
go,
find a
oh,
map
there
of
it
a
is.
Firefly,
Yeah, I
yeah.
got it.
Okay.
Well, no. One thing I just kept
It'll
going
show
is
that
when
in
they're walking
Serenity.
through the ship. It's like they found the engine room, and then you go down, and then there's just a bedroom right under the engine for Jewel. Like, it's a little weird.
There's 4
Yeah,
bedrooms
Kaylee
in.
keeps a hammock there for herself.
Yeah.
She doesn't live in the engine room, but she may as well.
She's there so often.
She
that
has her
just-
own room. She's got to have some place to keep her stuff.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All right. Well, we probably need to wrap this up pretty soon. We've been talking for quite a while.
So, overall opinion.
So overall opinion based only on the first episode.
I wish I started. with that.
Okay. If this was not something that we were doing for basically a challenge for Browncoat Month,
Well,
would you continue watching?
I
it
would
based only on the
continue
first
watching it only because I have affinity for these kind of stories.
Which
These kind of these kind of science fiction based. We're on a mission. Things. There's some Star Trek mixed in there. There's some good old fashioned Western mixed in there, which I
Western,
I don't mind. Western, right? And I don't mind the way they're playing off of these, and so I'd like to see how they're going to continue moving it forward. If I watched 2 or 3 more episodes that were kind of as forced as this, I might not watch it anymore
Okay.
because I might go they're just it's interesting. They might,
That was left field.
they if they have to force every single part on here,
Yeah.
from what I hear, it's not. It's a very fluid story to story to story, and they have interesting things, characters. So I'm looking forward to it, knowing that. But just going from this, if they kept forcing it, they do. Like I said in the beginning, I kind of feel what Fox was saying, that it's not the greatest intro to a series, because it just is like you're just forcing these characters on these people, and people don't like it when you force it that hard onto people.
Okay.
The next episode to air, Train Job, was the first one that Fox showed. Train Job's a really fun one.
Train Job is the one that Fox said, much better. Thank you for going back to the beginning and trying it again. This makes much more sense as an episode where I can follow a week-to-week plot.
Did you watched Train Job already, didn't you?
Yeah,
David?
you watched it.
Yeah.
What'd you think?
Is this one better? Was that one better
Just
than the
quickly.
first one?
It was better the first one. I wish that.
No details, no plot.
Okay,
Don't
I wish
spoil it.
they did better.
Okay.
A little bit in the train scene.
Okay.
But, oh,
Train
well.
scene needed work. Well, it's a train job. Okay.
You also have, what about
The big scene at the end.
Yeah, the big scene at the end is good. I know. See, we're giving him teasers and spoilers. Now he's got to know what is the big scene at the end. And apparently it involves that.
Okay. All right.
The
So
kick. The kick.
It's just where you 25 men.
All right, so
completely loaded
let's
with
wrap it up.
guns, can't do anything about it.
what'd you think of that first episode?
So just first episode.
Yeah, it was good. It had a lot of mistakes, and I could see why Fox didn't like it, but you know.
Okay, so assuming that you had just found it on Netflix and it had said, we recommend this, having just watched the first episode, would you continue watching it or would you go on to something else?
David continued watching it. 5 episodes.
Well, did he really watch 5 episodes?
Or no,
Yeah.
he said earlier today, I'm on episode 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
then obviously that's a thumbs up from you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. The lady on the left.
Yes, the lady behind the camera. Please tell us more.
So, it's just a last minute, dumb question. Which of the girls would you date?
Jewel.
I noticed
Kaylee.
he calls her by her actress name
Actress name,
instead
okay.
of
Ah, that's
character
interesting.
Okay.
Jewel is a really, really nice
She's a very nice
person.
lady.
We have met her. She's a sweetheart.
So,
Awesome.
of the men on the
One
would you
one
date?
last question I actually have, and this is a legit question here. Do you get a sense that all these actors really like each other?
From the
From
first
this
episode?
Yeah. No, not for the first episode.
Not for the
I
first
don't
episode?
think so. I think they're just doing a job. A couple of the actors, you see some of that connection, especially the captain, the first mate, and the Zoe and the
Okay.
other
Pilot.
character.
Pilot.
You can see those characters. The rest, the interactions
Wiki!
feel very like,
You're still
hi, I'm an
supporting
actor
cast?
saying my line. The supporting cast felt very, very, I'm just saying my lines right now. I think later on, they'll warm up a
Maybe.
little bit more kind of thing, but no, I didn't think that they were having a good time. The other people did, but the crew really looked like they were having a good time.
All right. Well,
I'm Moon Sedai, Anexandros, Captain Blackheart, and Minion.
and Minion.
I feel so
We-
special.
What would
We're
you like
the
a better
crew
name?
from Land of Nerds and Nerdbeards.
Gawk.
All
Okay.
right. Please,
Nerdbeards.
yeah, I know, right?
Oh, be sure to
Please-
catch us
please
on
follow us on Facebook.
Twitter.
Instagram.
Pinterest.
Subscribe to us on
Subscribe.
YouTube.
Yeah, subscribe to us.
Yes, we have a Pinterest now.
We have a Pinterest.
Don't forget about Instagram.
And don't forget, it's Browncoats Month on cosplayphotocontest.com. You've got some wonderful costumes. We'd love to see them.
And we're talking to you, Houston, Arizona, Space Western Lovers of the Alliance, or is that Southwest Louisiana?
It's Southwest Louisiana. If we say it on camera, they're going to be really mad if you say it that way.
I love you, Lee.
But not just those areas. If you're from another area and you're just itching to get your cosplay on and win some Browncoat shindig stuff, make it happen, man. Send it to us so we can make sure that everybody gets to vote for you, man.
This is the crew from Nerdbeard celebrating Browncoat Month, and you have a shiny day.
Woohoo!
Ha 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 ha!